Okay, so welcome back to another episode of I don't know what the fuck a football is. Because here's the thing that's really weird about this week. Like, on the one hand, I went 5-8. That is 3 games below 500. That is not good record-wise. It is fucking tanking my overall score, which I haven't kept track of my overall score. It was really good the first 3 weeks, and then, like, around or slightly above 500 the next two, and then it's just kind of tanked the last couple, which I do think is funny, especially because early on I was like, yeah, the first few weeks are kind of a crapshoot because you don't really know who's good. And then as you get into like later in the season, like you get a much better idea. And I'm like, now it's week 8, but it's like looking into week 7, I was like, I still don't know who's good because it feels like most of the league is 500. And yes, there's things like any given Sunday where theoretically any team could beat anybody. Just look at Monday night. I did not see that one coming. But even some of the ones I got wrong, I was like, I can see that. I mean, clearly I could see it. It fucking happened. But for example, and I'll get into a lot of the specifics, but like the Bills and the Patriots, I was like, yeah, I'm still gonna pick Buffalo, but they're a very vulnerable team. And Belichick knows how to play the AFC East, with kind of the weird exception of Miami, especially if they're in Miami, which I think next week they are, so I don't think they'll win that one. I'll be honest about that. But I was like, I would not be surprised if the Patriots pulled off the upset. I remember saying, I was like, with the Washington game, every week I think Washington is going to be good. They lose. And every week I think they're going to be bad. They look really good. So I think they're going to beat the Giants, which means they'll probably lose to the Giants, but I'm still going to pick them. And what do you know? They lost to the fucking Giants. It's like, yeah, I'm still incorrect. I am not trying to argue with that, like 100%. But that's kind of what I love about football. It's like, there's a lot of fucking chaos week to week, and chaos is a beautiful thing. And 2, there's still a lot of logic in the chaos. Even upsets can be like, no, I can see that. And not just because, it's football, there's parity any given Sunday. It's like, no, this one makes a lot of sense. And then there's crazy shit, pure chaos, like what happened to the Lions in Baltimore. Yes, Baltimore is still a good team. But holy fucking shit, that was wild. I think they had 4 touchdowns before the Lions had a first down. I think it was 28-0 at halftime, and then at one point it was 35-0, and I was just like, how? What the fuck happened here? Oh, it was crazy. It was wonderful. But I have to start with the first game. In my opinion, the least wonderful. Because one of the few games I got right was the Saints losing. Because I knew they would. Because I'm like, I have like no faith or optimism in this team anymore. Which means they'll probably win a few games, surprise me. I'm like, all right, we're so back. We're back, baby. Who done it? And then I'm like, oh no, we still suck. They are still my team, though. I feel like that's important to say. I'm not like, man, they suck. I'm done with this team. I'm never watching them. I'm never supporting. Like, I'm not wearing my Saints shirt right now. I think it's in the wash. Or it's like it's in my, it's not technically in the wash yet, but it's in my dirty clothes. It's like, I still rep my team. I'll wear the shirt maybe the day before a game, the day of a game, the day after the game. No, not all in a row. That's kind of gross. But it's like, yeah, it's like there have been times where like the Saints have gotten embarrassed. I'm like, I'm still gonna wear my Saints shirt. They're still my team. Win, lose, or draw. You rep your team. But also when they play like shit, you've got to rip your team. I remember like watching the first drive of Jacksonville. So this was on the defense. The Jaguars just marched down the field with, I don't think they had a fourth, I mean, they definitely didn't have a fourth down. I don't know if they had a third down on that drive. It just felt like every play, chunk, 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 score. I'm like, well, our elite defense, everybody, just, that looked easy. And that's the thing, like, yes, even an elite defense is going to give up scores. They're going to give up touchdowns. I'm not upset at the defense for giving up a score. I mean, there's times where I am, but it's like that shit happens. It's how easy it looked. For this to be the strength of the team and they're getting embarrassed early, that's a fucking problem. Then what happens with the offense? Able to move the ball for a bit, stall out. Story of the season, story of last season. I mean, even then, last season, sometimes we couldn't even move the ball in the first place. Line up to kick a field goal, I think it was like a 52-yarder or something like that, and it's missed. And like I say, I get it with like a 50-plus yarder, that is not fucking easy. Even for a kicker, like even for like you're a professional, you are paid to do this. Even that, I'm like, I get it, that's hard to fucking do. I think anything below 40 you should be able to do in your fucking sleep. I will rip you for that. Above 50, I get it. But then you give the other team good field position at that point. And that's one of those things where it's like, look, the kid has the leg. I know he can. If he does not feel comfortable making those kinds of, especially super early in the game, like if it's, we need a 53-yarder to win as time is expiring, he now has to go out and make that kick, like 100%. It's like, it's early in the game. I would love points. If he does not feel as comfortable making that long of a kick, just punt the ball. I get it. I don't want the other team to have, fucking start on halfway down the damn field, especially with how bad the defense looked on the first drive. What? I have a sneeze coming. Ugh. Ow. That actually kind of hurt. Holy shit. But then the Jaguars offense go back out there. I'm like, okay. I have good field position. They fucked up our defense. But surely our defense could get a stop now, right? Right? Oh, fuck, they did. It's like they forced a fumble. Hell yeah! There we go. There we go. That's what I want to see. I want to see turnovers. I want to see fight. I don't want to see them just marching down the field and our offense is punted. I think they went 3 and out after. It was like that. That's so sad. That's so pathetic. We can't do shit. Oh my God, they muffed the punt. We just got 2 turnovers in the span of like 2 minutes. Holy crap. Okay. That's not on the defense. That's on the special teams. That's just kind of one of those lucky fluke shit that happens. I will take it. We have the ball on like the 15, which means it's the Saints in the red zone, so we're probably not going to score a touchdown, even though we fucking should, but let's get points. And they pick up a first down. I'm like, yes, now it's 1st and goal, and we can't do shit. But at least we got 3 out of it. I will take it. I will take points. But we just got 2 turnovers and had the ball 1st and goal. And all we got out of all of that was 3 points. That's not looking very good. Then as the half went on, it was kind of the same. Like the Jaguars had some drives that were good, some others that were like not scoring. Kind of the same with the Saints. At one point the score was 24-9. I don't remember if that was halftime or if that was like 3rd quarter-ish. But the part I specifically remember was near the end of the half. Lawrence throws a ball that looks like a clean interception by Lattimore, but was ruled incomplete. I never saw a replay of the catch. I don't think they played one, so I didn't get a good idea of like, oh no, that was a great catch. We just got fucked. Or if like, I'm assuming if it was overturned, it was sort of like, yeah, the ball hit the ground, or like the ball was moving. Oh, fuck, excuse me. I am assuming we didn't get fucked on the call. But it's the Saints, you kind of never know. There have been times where we've definitely benefited from some questionable calls, and, well, if you're a Saints fan, you know the opposite is also very, very fucking true. But, well, you don't even have to be a Saints fan, you just had to have seen the fucking NFC Championship game. Anyways, point. Jaguars kick a field goal there. And the reason that's really important is when you kind of are doing the math, you're like, okay, that's a field goal the Saints missed, which would have given them 3. If that interception stood, the Jaguars wouldn't have been able to kick that, so that'd be 3 points less for them. In a game the Saints lost by 7, you're like, well, they don't have that field goal, then we're losing by 4. We have that field goal, then we're losing by 1. Then at the end of the game, I guess we'll get to that. But the point is, like, it's 24-9, and the Saints look like shit. But they're able to score a touchdown. They get a stop, and then they're able to score again. And they scored really fucking quick. Like, I think the first touchdown was... It was first and goal, and then it was just fail. I'm like, oh my god, if we literally can't score, because like it was like at the 1 and then fail. I was like, if we can't score from our first and goal at the 1 with 4 chances, what are we doing? Why do I subject myself to this? And then Taysom Hill fucking scores a touchdown. I'm like, thank you, Taysom Hill. And we get the ball back, score super quick on this beautiful fucking catch by Michael Thomas. Like, that was so satisfying to see. And then get the 2-point conversion. And it's like, holy shit. The game is tied. There was a point before all this where I was talking to Clay. And I was like, Clay, here's why I don't want to watch this game. Because here's what's going to happen. The Saints are going to make it close. I don't know if they'll tie it. I don't know if they'll take the lead. I don't know if it'll be like 1 score, but they're going to get really, really close. And then I'm going to start drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm going to start thinking that, like, man, we can do it. We can win. We've got this. We've got all the momentum. This is a game at home where, you know, the crowd is going nuts and they're going to feed off the crowd energy and we're going to win and it's not going to really feel deserved and it's going to feed into my illusion that we're a good team. But then they're going to lose. And all of the comeback, me feeling it, the city feeling it, the dome fucking rocking, it's not gonna matter because somehow, some way, they're gonna fuck it up. And that's why I don't want to watch, because I've seen this shit happen so many times. But I've got to see it because we can still pull it off. And they are my squad. What happens? The game is tied. Then the Jags take the field, and the defense gets a stop. And I'm like, we got the ball. We have a chance to get the lead. I'm now feeling it. I am deep in the delusion. And then 3 and out. And I'm like, well, that fucking sucks. That's a terrible punt. What the fuck was that? Well, the Jags are just starting, basically, at field goal range. But hopefully that's all that happens. It's just a field goal. That is the easiest touchdown I may have ever seen in my life. Dude just walked through like the entire defense, scored, and now I got, okay. Well, offense, can you do something? Well, they're moving. Oh, that's a first and goal. Oh, gosh. Oh, man. They can do this. They can tie the game. Maybe if they score, they can go for 2 and just win, and just leave and win outright. But, man, wouldn't that be a real Saints thing to happen? It's like you score the game-tying touchdown, you go for 2, and then you don't get it. Boy, I can't wait to see that happen. Well, I didn't have to see that happen because even though we had all 3 timeouts, and it's a first and goal. And Alvin Kamara, played pretty well all game. Which, granted, a lot of his numbers was because Carr just threw a check down like every fucking play. So, yeah, he was going to get a lot of yards. And it would usually be about, 3-4 yards at a time. And, he was able to do some running. I have Kamara on my fantasy team. And, he was eating it. I think he had, it was, either 28 or, 32 points. Because he had almost... It was 60 yards on the ground and 90 through the air. It's a pretty good game. But, that was my point. My point is, first and goal to win the game, all 3 timeouts, Kamara does not touch the ball once. Taysom Hill, a fantastic runner, does not touch the ball once. The same dude who actually scored the touchdown earlier from the goal line. And, like, I don't know, maybe you could use the fact that he's probably going to run to have him do a throw. Like, there's something really cool you could have done there. Or use Kamara. Use Jimmy Graham and his big-ass body. He's on the team. We expect that if he's here, he's a red zone target. Why is he not fucking using the red zone? It's just a complete failure. And the perfect epitome of that is, bless his heart, but Foster Moreau, wide open in the back of the end zone, pass hits him on the hands, and he drops it. I know that there's a lot of assholes who have been, like, sending death threats, like, being just real fucking pieces of shit to him. And don't do that. We're humans. Everyone is human. Everyone can make mistakes. You can rip him for it because, like, you should catch that. If you are a receiver or tight end, I mean, even a running back, I'm not as stingy on running backs because some are just, like, not as good at catching. It's just kind of how it is. I mean, I guess even some tight ends are like, I am a blocking tight end more than a receiving tight end. But, like, if you're a receiving back, a receiving tight end, a wide receiver, or like a corner, if a ball hits you in the hand, you fucking have to catch it. Now, again, there's sometimes where, like, no, like, that's a fucking terrible ball, and it hits you on, like, the fingertips. Like, of course I'm not going to rip the receiver for something like that. But generally speaking, if your job is to catch shit and it hits you on the hands, like hits you on the chest, you fucking catch it. I'm very disappointed that he didn't. I'm not thinking that, like, oh, like, fuck him and his family or anything. Like, no, you're not a fucking animal. But the fact that it's like all of this shit to come back, and the defense was, aside from that awful touchdown that they allowed, were lights out in the second half, and the offense that had been dog shit had kind of gotten it figured out. We're getting into a rhythm, and we're able to move the fucking ball and score, and there it is, the game-tying touchdown, maybe game winner if we go for two and just say, we're going to end this shit now, and it's dropped. Literally dropped the ball. And that's the Saints. I feel like I should say something about Jacksonville, but I don't really know what to say. I mean, it's like, I think this is really what I have to say about Jacksonville. One, good win. You guys did what you fucking had to. It's like, I look at this, I'm not like, man, I fucking hate the Jags after this. Like, no, I have no beef with you. I have beef with us. The Jags are also on a winning streak. Like, they're 5-2. They've won 3 straight. Who have they beaten in this streak? They've beaten the Colts, the Bills, and now the Saints. It feels like the Jags are kind of starting to cook. They're kind of starting to hum, which they really didn't do last year until the second half of the season. So now that they're doing it early in this season, it's like that means one of two things. Either A, they're going to have a great first half of the season and then collapse, or they're just going to be good all year. And as someone who really wanted Doug Peterson to be our head coach, I am happy for him. It's like, I mean, I wish that was happening here, be honest. But I like Doug Peterson. And it's like, this is his second year in Jacksonville. What if they win the Super Bowl? Because his second year in Philly, he took a team that had never won the Super Bowl to the Super Bowl. Like, could you imagine a fucking Jags-Eagles Super Bowl? Because the last Eagles Super Bowl, they played their previous coach. Imagine that. It's like, how did we lose 2 Super Bowls in a row to our previous head coaches? This is ass. Like, that would just be really funny and entertaining. Yeah, not like I'm preying on the Eagles' downfall or anything, but it's just like the storyline perspective. And yes, I am realizing that after 2 weeks in a row of saying, like, all right, Lions Super Bowl, I'm not talking about that anymore, but, like, they got fucked 38-6, and it was 35-0. Yes, it was one game. I still believe the Lions are a good team, and that was some weird aberration where they just got manhandled. It does happen. Maybe I'm being too kind on the Lions because when it happened to the fucking Cowboys, I was a lot harder on them, but at least with the Cowboys, this is what I have come to expect from that team. With the Lions, they're new to the situation, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. The Cowboys, there is no benefit because at this point, I have no doubt. But yes, I do acknowledge that after a couple weeks of being like, all right, I'm rooting for this crazy Lions Super Bowl, I talked about the Eagles instead. But good win for the Jags. Fuck, I'm already 20 minutes in and I've talked about one game. Oh my God. Okay, so the next game is Atlanta. Oh, yeah, did I say the score? It was 31-24. Next one, Atlanta and Tampa Bay, 16-13. So last week, Desmond Ridder lost a game throwing 3 interceptions. And they were all pretty big interceptions. One that set up Washington to take essentially the game-winning touchdown. One on the goal line where, the Falcons could have maybe kicked a field goal, could have scored a touchdown and brought it to 1. If they went for 2, they could have tied it. And then on the final drive to lose the game. Here, Desmond Ridder won a game, but with 3 turnovers again. This time it was 3 fumbles. I tried to actually write it down. What was the last fumble? Wait, was it only 2 fumbles? This is now bothering me. Maybe it was only 2, but they were, again, pretty big, because one was, right on the goal line. I think it was, first and... Actually, I don't know what down it was. But they were on, the 1, maybe the 2, and he fumbled the snap. Or maybe he was, trying to hand it off, but he dropped it, and then the Bucs recovered. The other was he ran in for a touchdown, but the ball had been jostled, just before he was about to break the plane, and he didn't have possession quite anymore, and then it went out of bounds. They're like, oh, shit. That's also a fumble. I don't remember when the other one was. So either it was 2 or there were 3, and I just forgot to write down the third one, which that might be. But that's not good. That 2 weeks in a row, your quarterback has committed multiple fucking turnovers in crucial situations. But at least they won. And I did say going into this game, I picked Tampa to win. It was they have an opportunistic defense. Desmond Ridder likes turning the ball over. It's going to happen in this game, and Tampa is going to take advantage. And they kind of did, because at the end of the game, it's if it wasn't for these turnovers, Atlanta would be winning by a lot more, and Baker Mayfield drove the ball down the field. He drove his team. They kicked the game-tying field goal. He had a big run, and it wasn't the exact same, but it reminded me of his run to clinch the Browns that playoff spot against the Steelers. It's 3rd and 10 or some shit, and he's able to go outside, run, and then he's excited. He's hyping up the crowd look, we got it. And then here, again, this wasn't to win the game, but it's look, in front of his home crowd in a division game, gets a big run, gets the crowd in it, fired up, kick that game-tying field goal, and then Falcons go down the field, and Younghoe Koo does what Younghoe Koo does. I don't want to say I'm happy for a Falcons player because, Saints fan. But I'm really happy for Koo. Because I feel like I've said this before. But in law school, I had 2 really good friends who were Korean. And they were my roommates in my 3rd and final year. And I remember it was Koo's first game with the Chargers, who at that point, in LA, they are a local team. None of us really cared, but it was kind of cool, I guess, in a way to have, 2 local teams. And they were really excited to see a Korean player in the NFL, to have that representation. I remember, they were all right, this guy's come on, Koo. And then, he missed the game-winning field goal. I think he missed a couple field goals in that game. And they were so deflated, seeing a Korean NFL player and then him just not doing well. But what do you know? All it takes to be a reliable kicker is to leave the Chargers. So I just think that's fucking funny that, of course, when he was with the Chargers, he was bad and unreliable. But I'm happy to see that he is doing well, even if it's with the Falcons. There was also the fact that even though the Falcons won, and with all the multiple turnovers, Bijan Robinson, didn't do anything. I think he had a few snaps, but had no touches. Arthur Smith said that he was feeling ill. It's weird to say I hope that's the case, because I hope he's doing all right, and that it was just not feeling super well that day, but he's doing better, because again, even though he's a Falcons player, I want him to do well. I want him to be healthy. When we play the Falcons, I don't want to battle a wounded team. They're a rival. It's way more fun to beat the shit out of them when they're at full strength, because then you can really talk shit. You don't want to give them excuses no, I want us to be the team that's handicapped when we win, because then we can talk extra shit. It's dude, we swept you when Taysom Hill was starting at quarterback. You guys fucking suck. Last year our team was dog shit, and we still swept the Falcons. Fuck you. It's great. It's a wonderful feeling. I love it. But I hope it's he's okay, and it's not a more serious issue. Did I have anything else to really say about the game? I guess one thing is that Baker didn't play perfect, but I had heard that there was an injury, and then from the little bits that I saw, it looked like he was okay. It might just be because I could only really watch the highlights, and it might be no, if you really watched the game, you could see that his mechanics were off. He was clearly dealing with an injury. I don't know, but it seems like he was all right, and I'm happy to see that. Again, a division rival. I fucking hate the Bucs, but I'm a Sooner fan. I love Baker Mayfield, and I just want to see Baker play well, dude. I can't help it. I hate that it's after Cleveland, where did he go? He went to a division rival. Okay, where did he go after that? He went to a division rival. No! Baker, please go somewhere where I can just, be happy that you're winning. Why are you in Tampa, Baker? Why? But, and then, okay, and then in the middle, he was on the fucking Rams. As a Saints fan, we fucking hate the Rams. Why? Why could you go to, the Lions? I would have been so happy to see you doing well in the Lions, or, the Giants, or, basically the entire AFC. But, yeah, the Falcons won. After that is Vegas and Chicago, 30-12. The Bears won a game 30-12 with Tyson Bagent playing quarterback. And you know what? From watching the highlights, dude looked, I don't know if I necessarily want to say comfortable, because it felt like every play he wasn't in the pocket. It was either he was scrambling or it was a bootleg, but also he looked poised. Even when he was scrambling, it wasn't oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. It was all right, I got to make a play happen. But keeping his eyes downfield, was able to make throws, able to keep the team moving. Dante Foreman had a fucking hat trick. I was I don't know who this dude is. I've heard of him before. I know he's been in the league for a while. I was damn, he fucking tore him up. The Bears have an offense. Where was this last week against the Vikings? The Vikings have had a terrible defense, but maybe they don't? Especially after what they did to the 49ers. I'm wait, what the fuck are the Vikings now? But now granted, the Bears are playing the Raiders, who I picked to win, because they're not the Bears. Even without Jimmy G, Brian Hoyer was able to, come in relief and do pretty all right against New England. No. Hoyer's not playing very well. Now they're bringing Aiden O'Connell, and that's a pretty bad interception he threw too. Maybe he should have played the whole game like he did against the Chargers, because they didn't win, but it didn't look awful. Why? Yeah, why against the Patriots did they use Hoyer as the backup instead of O'Connell? Was it just kind of a ha Belichick, I'm going to use another Patriots backup against you? I don't know, maybe? And why did he fucking start this game and didn't look that good? It's just... What the fuck are the Raiders? I think they're 500, or... Yeah, because I think they've had a bye, so I think they're 3-3, maybe 3-4, maybe 4-2. It's something weird where I'm Their record's better than I was expecting. I'll give them that. But I don't think this team is good. Josh Jacobs is not playing all that great. Devontae Adams is still he's still kind of getting his. He's like the one piece on their offense that's I kind of trust to do anything, and so they have a very good defense. They just gave up 30 to Tyson Bagent and Dante Foreman. I mean, good win for the Bears, but this is more getting into next week's picks, which I plan on doing after this video. Say what you will about the Chicago Bears. There's a lot you can say about the Chicago Bears. They have as many wins as the Chargers. The Chargers are 2-4. Yeah, because they've had a bye. That's why in week 7. But it's they're 2-4, and they don't look very good. I've seen Justin Herbert make some good plays. I've also seen him miss open receivers and just not play that great. The Chargers are supposed to be this really good team. They're coming off a playoff year. They have this great quarterback, a potential MVP candidate. He had these incredible numbers the first few weeks of the season. It's yeah, but with all that, record-wise, you're as good as the Chicago Bears, who are a punching bag. And, at least in terms of, NFL media, not necessarily on the field. I mean, they have won a couple games. They almost beat Denver, which, beating Denver isn't too impressive. And even then, the fucking Packers couldn't do it. Oh my God, what the fuck? What happened this week? We'll get to that. I think I'll just go ahead and move on. Hoyer did throw a pick 6. That was pretty funny. But nothing much else to say on that one. Oh, God. The fucking Browns and the Colts. This game was nuts. The Browns won 39-38. And I look at that and go, oh, so there was no defense played. Wait. Okay, first off, how the fuck did the Browns score damn near 40 points? Second, how the fuck did the Gardner Minshew Colts score 38? How was there no defense in this game? And then you see what happened. You're there was defense in this game. Garrett had 2 sacks. He forced a fumble, which the Browns scored on because it happened in the end zone. Minshew, I think, had 2 fumbles and an interception. So there was shit going on. Myles Garrett jumped over a dude and blocked a field goal, which was legal, by the way, because it's only illegal if A, you get a running start, or 2, you touch the long snapper. So if you don't touch the dude, if you clear him like a fucking game of leapfrog, it's illegal. Myles Garrett is just standing, jumps over another motherfucker, and blocks the field goal. What the fuck? That's crazy. I think Cam Chancellor did the same thing. I know that happened. There's this memory in my brain that might be an illusion of Cam Chancellor doing a front flip over a dude like Jerome Simpson did for his touchdown. And I think he did it to block a kick. Did that happen? I think that happened. I now feel so confused. I'm there's no way that happened, but I can see it clearly in my head. So I'm guessing it did. But this game was insane. I'm going to talk about the end, but I got to see, is there other shit I wanted to say? Oh, yeah. The Colts had these weird jerseys. Because I'm used to the Colts, it's either white with some blue or it's blue with some white. And this was this really dark blue where if I didn't know better, I would not have known this was the Colts. I was what the fuck? I mean, I don't think it's a bad jersey or anything. I was just kind of confused. It was every time a Colts player scored, they just did this shimmy. And I was is that a Colts thing? I don't mind it. I kind of fucked with it. But I was all right. You do you. Uncle Rico, I think, had 3 or 4 rushes in the game, and 2 of them went for touchdowns. Fuck, that's cool. Last week, I was bro, why are you having Minshew throw 55 times? Of course he's going to throw interceptions. This game, he had 300 yards and a few touchdowns. I don't know shit. Minshew was playing pretty well. Again, but had a couple fumbles, one of which was a touchdown, and also had a turn and like an interception. Deshaun Watson played in this game for, I think he had 5 throws, one of which was a pick. His last one also, like, it was kind of like the Lattimore one. It's like, oh, he threw another interception. I guess they overturned it, but then he got injured, or I guess re-injured. I don't really know what his status is. And then PJ Walker comes in, and it's not like he's like lighting it up, but they still scored 39 points. Again, like 7 of those were on defense, but even still, like, damn, this shit was nuts. Oh, right, that fucking play. There was this play where the Browns have the ball. It's 4th and 1. I don't know exactly where it was. It was around like the 50, the 40 or some shit. So what they're trying to do is, like, almost like PJ Walker's like kind of moving a little bit. Then he pitches the ball to the running back. I don't know who that was. I want to say it was Ford, who had a great touchdown run. Like, I don't know if it was the first snap of the game. It was like a very early play. I was like, oh, that was beautiful. Jonathan Taylor also played pretty well in this game. That was nice to see. But this really, you'll pitch it to the running back, and then he goes forward. He's got some blockers in front to pick up the first. The pitch, like, I couldn't tell if it, like, bounced off the running back's hands. It looked like it completely missed him, like Mac Jones throwing to Hunter Henry last week. The ball, which, again, it's a backwards pass, so it's a live ball, but also it's 4th down, so it's a, like, fucking super live ball. It was just fucking rolling. Like, that was such a hilariously botched play. It was pretty good to see. But you can't talk about this game without the ending, and the ending was bullshit. The Colts are winning, like 38-32. Was that it? Yeah, I think it was 38-32. And the Browns have a 1st and goal. PJ Walker has the ball. He's hit, clearly fumbles, clear recovery by the Colts, and it's like within a minute left, so this is game over. Barring some insane monumental bullshit of, I don't know, the Colts like fumbling the snap on the kneel down, the game is over. What do you know? There was monumental bullshit because they called an illegal contact. Now, illegal contact is, for all intents and purposes, pass interference before the ball is thrown. It is not a spot of the foul penalty, but it is 5 yards and automatic 1st down. The illegal contact, from what I have seen, because I've seen the replay a few times, it deadass looks like the Browns, who are on offense, the Browns receiver runs into the defender and kind of pushes him and then keeps running. And that was on the defense for like standing there and like kind of like running his assignment, getting hit and then getting pushed. How the fuck was that on the defense? That should have ended the game with like the Colts defensive play. And instead, the Browns got like a pity 1st down. Like, I remember watching it and thinking, if I were a Colts fan, I would feel sick watching that because you got robbed. Then, to make it a little bit worse, I think it was literally the next play, is PJ Walker throws a pass, sails way overhead, goes out of bounds, uncatchable as fuck, and there's PI called. And it's one of those like, yes, he was interfered with. Like, I feel like you can make the argument that, the defender was not playing the ball, did not have his head turned around. You can make an argument that he was interfered with. But there's 2 examples, or like 2 instances where that doesn't matter. Number 1 is if the ball is tipped, which is one of those rules where it's like, I get it, but I don't get it. Because on the one hand, it's like, well, the ball's tipped. It doesn't matter. Like, it's almost like, I guess the idea is that, like, when the ball is tipped, it almost becomes uncatchable, like, to a receiver downfield. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't know. I mean, if you're just, like, all over a dude and preventing him from, like, running back to the ball, like, There could still be pass interference. I don't know. Like, I can kind of see it both ways. But if the ball is tipped, there is no PI. If the ball is uncatchable, there is no PI. Like, if you have to be the size of Dwight Howard on the shoulders of Anthony Davis to catch a ball, it does not matter if you're interfered with because you could not have caught it. That is something that makes a lot of sense to me. Anyone with eyes could see that is an uncatchable ball. Why the fuck was that called PI? So the Browns get first and goal again on the 1, and I think it even takes them a few plays, but they punch it in. The Colts have 15 seconds to do something, and then Minshew turns it over. Like I said, it was this is, on the one hand, a really, really fun, cool-ass game where when you look at the score and the numbers, you're there was no defense in this game. And then you watch it and you're no, somehow there was defense, even with the score this high. That's really fun. But what a shitty-ass ending. I'm not upset that the Browns won or that the Colts lost. I just don't like the way it happened. Like I said, I was if I'm a Colts fan, I'm sick. Even as a neutral observer, I feel disgusted watching how that ended. Who did we have after that? Oh, also, that was another thing I wanted to bring up. I just saw in my notes. Dustin Hopkins kicked a 58-yard field goal. And like I always say, to me, anything over 50 yards, if you don't get it, I get it. Shit like that is crazy. That is such a good kick. That is not reliable at all. So I had to give him a shout out for that. That was badass. Next was Washington and the Giants, where the Giants won 14-7 because I was the Commanders should play really well. I mean, it's not beating the Falcons is this huge badge of honor, but I mean, the Falcons aren't bad. They're all right. It's all right, they were able to beat a team. They're able to do good shit. The Giants suck. I know their defense is kind of underrated. I know they almost beat the Bills, who are really vulnerable right now. It's a division game. Anything can happen. Tyrod's playing Super Bowl champion Tyrod Taylor. The offense looked more comfortable with him against the Bills than they have with Danny Dimes, but I mean, the Giants still have no O-line. Washington has a good defense. Surely Washington wins. Now, Washington did get 4 sacks. I think they did get a couple turnovers. They only allowed 14 points. I believe they were both in the first quarter. So the defense did their job. But the Washington offense, they only scored 7. And that was after a muffed punt. So kind of like last week against the Falcons, where the Commies only scored in the second half on a short field. Their only score in the first half was also on a short field. Now, I believe they had also attempted a field goal early on that was missed. I think I wrote that down. That sounds correct. Let me check. Oh, it was blocked. That's what it was. It was I have 27 written down. So it was a very short kick. It was blocked. So I don't blame the kicker for that. That's on your actual protection and shit. Which, I mean, apparently if you're playing Myles Garrett, even having a good protection doesn't help because he can just leapfrog over it like the fucking monster he is. Fuck, dude, that's so bad. That's so intimidating to think about. This dude's just doing, practicing his crossover and dribbling, and then when he's playing the Titans, they have 2 tight ends on him, so when he moves across the formation, they have to move across the formation. It's he's already in the other team's head. The fact that he can just jump over, too. Can you imagine if they played the fucking Eagles and he jumps over Jason Kelce to stop the tush push? Jason Kelce's a big dude. He can't do that. But could you imagine how fucking funny and weird that would be? Those plays when Troy Polamalu would like time the snap so perfectly. He would essentially like almost jump over a lineman and like tackle the running back or the quarterback. I now want to see Myles Garrett do that on a tush push. That would be fucking wild television. But anyways, they only scored on a muff punt. They could have scored again, which would have been blocked. But it was blocked. And even if they had, they still would have been down 4, so they still would have needed a touchdown at the end of the game, which they were able to, like, I think they had the ball with like 6 or 7 minutes left, and they made it down the field. It was like 4th. I don't know if it was quite 4th and goal, but it was like 4th and something from like the 9. It's like they were in position. They just couldn't get it done. And it was Jonathan Allen after the game's like, I'm fucking sick of this shit, man. Like, I've been here 7 years and the team still sucks. We can't beat our division rivals. We can't win. We're, like, inconsistent. Which, I mean, I don't blame him for his frustration. Like, that fucking sucks. But, I just wanted to see, it's like, I feel like there was something else I wanted to say about this. Oh, that's what it was. Washington was 1 for 15 on third down in this game. That's so fucking bad. And again, it's not like they're like a bunch of bums. Like, they've got some fucking playmakers on offense. Laughing because I was like, dude, like 1 for 15 on third down, that's Saints numbers. Because, man, the Saints were fucking atrocious on, I don't remember what the third down percentage was against the Jags, but it was bad. I think they had like 1, 2, maybe at most like 3 third down conversions and then a handful on fourth down. I was like, that's so trash. But Washington 1 for 15, that's so bad. I mean, I think Ron Rivera is gone at the end of the season, barring like a huge run. But there's a part of me that goes, maybe he's let go mid-season, and they kind of just like, okay, Bieniemy, here's your audition. Here's your shot. Prove to us, prove to the NFL world, because that's been a big thing with him. It was like, interview after interview after interview after interview, but can't get that head coaching job. And maybe it's because he doesn't interview well. I don't know. Maybe it's because people just see him as the Andy Reid protege, which, granted, I mean, Reid has had offensive coordinators to still get head coaching jobs. Look at Matt Nagy, who's, back in Kansas City. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's both. I don't know. But I could see the Commanders going like, look, this Ron Rivera era hasn't... That's kind of fun to say, the Rivera era. But the Rivera era hasn't gone anywhere. Bieniemy, you want to be a head coach? Here you go. Make something happen. And maybe he does a great enough job in Washington to be like, okay, you are our guy. Maybe Washington still doesn't really go anywhere, and so they want to do like, all right, we're going to have a full interview process. But another team, like, I don't know, maybe the Chargers, sees that and is like, look, we want Bieniemy. Because maybe they end up not liking Kellen Moore by the end of the season. They're like, you know what? We want Bieniemy. We, believe in what we saw from Washington there. Come be our head coach. Also, the Chiefs really well, so we can't fucking beat them. And honestly, the idea of, Bieniemy and Andy Reid twice a year, the apprentice and the master kind of shit, I'm like, I kind of fuck with that. That's pretty cool. That's pretty fun. So, that's really what I have to say about that one. Now it's Detroit and Baltimore. It was 38-6. So the first note that I have is this one, what do you know? A fucking Lions-Ravens game that doesn't come down to Justin Tucker setting a career long. Because there was this one, 8 years ago or like some shit. It was a Monday night game in the Stafford Lions and the Flacco Ravens, where both teams were supposed to be good, but neither of them really were. I specifically remember the Monday night, like the preview, because they kind of like play like little like intro videos to kind of hype you up like throughout the week for like, this is the next Monday night matchup. It was the song Believe. I don't remember who performs, like, give me something to believe. Because it's that song for the Lions and the Ravens, like, give us something to believe because you're supposed to be good, but you keep letting us down. Like, who the fuck are you two? And I thought that was funny as hell because I'd also really liked the song and I discovered it relatively recently. I was like, I know that song. Boy, that's fucking accurate. And that was the game where the Ravens won. I believe it was 18-17, and all 18 points were Justin Tucker field goals. The Lions scored 2 touchdowns and lost to a team who did nothing but kick field goals. That is like the most Lions thing fucking possible. And Justin Tucker won with a 61-yard field goal, which was his career log at the time. That like sneaked in barely. I remember that. And the Lions got the ball back and turned it over. I think it was Matt Elam caught the game-winning interception. Like, that's how long ago that was. I think that was the year where he was the Ravens' first-round pick. Anyways, the last time they played, it came down to Justin Tucker not only setting a career-long field goal, but an NFL record long field goal that not only goes in, it bounced off the crossbar, hangs in the air for a few seconds where you don't know where it's gonna land, and lands in, setting a record and crushing the Lions' hopes and dreams on the way. Because, of course, if there's anything more Lions than losing to a team who only kicked field goals when you scored multiple touchdowns, it's losing to a team after delay of game should have been called against them. It's not. They get more yards and then kick a record-setting field goal that barely goes in. But it didn't come down to a Justin Tucker field goal this time, although he did have one when they were already up by 35. It was 35-0. And it was 28-0 at the end of the first half. The Lions, they just died. I don't know what the fuck happened. That defense that has been playing great didn't do shit. That offense was down 4 touchdowns before they had a first down. This second half was just, we're going for it on 4th down every time. Like, yeah, there were some good plays. There were some good throws. I had the Sun God on my fantasy team. I played him this week. He did good shit. He didn't have a touchdown. Would have been even better. It's like, Sun God played well. But what the fuck was that? Good shit for the Ravens, though. Like, I don't want to make this just about the Lions and being like, man, it happens, I guess. Like, I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is evidence that the Lions aren't as good as we think they are. If they were just looking ahead. If this is one of those weird games. I don't know what the fuck. But I have to give praise to the Ravens because that was a masterclass on both sides of the ball. I've been very critical of Baltimore this year. I've been like, there's games where they look great. There's games where they don't. They feel very inconsistent. I don't know how much I can trust them. Part of that is injuries. But also, that's the one consistent thing with Baltimore is getting these big injuries. I'm like, do I believe in you? Give me something to believe. Okay, a 35-point lead against a 5-1 team. The only team this year so far to beat the Chiefs. I can believe in that. But I also can't forget the fucking shit show that was the performance in Pittsburgh. I'm going to give a spoil for my next video. I have the Cardinals beating the Ravens next week. I don't think the Cardinals are the better team. Let me say that. The Ravens are clearly a better team. But with how weird the Ravens season has been, it kind of makes sense to me, like after this big win, demolishing a top team in terms of record, like in terms of like being the media darlings and all that shit, and just taking a shit all over them in front of your home crowd. Yeah, I can see them next week like kind of laying an egg. It doesn't make sense, and that's why it makes sense, because football is nothing but chaos. But, I mean, even if they do kind of don't play well against the Cardinals next week, it was this weird Genjutsu-like game. I mean, the Ravens still showed me something, man. I gotta give them their credit for that. That's some wild-ass shit. After that, it's the Bills and the Patriots, which was 29-25. Literally, Josh Allen's first throw was a fucking interception. And it's one of those you're like, oh, so it is going to be one of those games. Like I had said, Buffalo is a vulnerable team. They have a lot of injuries on defense. And the offense, the last few games, hasn't clicked until the fourth quarter. Against the Jags, which even, I feel it's like with the Jags, you can definitely be like, well, you know, they were in London, there's the jet lag, like, I kind of get it. Against the Giants, you'd be like, Giants have a better defense than we think. I mean, the Jags don't have a good defense. They also have Josh Allen, who's a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. Josh Allen's really fucking good, especially when he plays Josh Allen. The Giants have an underrated defense. And also, it feels like the kind of game where the Bills were looking past their opponent. Like, all right, but I mean, we've got this. The Giants suck. And very nearly dropped that game, but came alive when they need to. I don't want to make an excuse for them this week. Maybe they looked past the Patriots, but this is a division rival. You can't do that. With as vulnerable as you have looked the past few weeks, you can't look past anybody. So I am assuming they didn't, and they still didn't wake up till the fourth quarter. Now, granted, for the second week in a row, Tyler Bass, who had been perfect up till the Giants game, missed a field goal. And in a game where you lose by 3... yeah, no, I mean, it would probably be a bit of a different game, understandably. But that's a problem. The Patriots, like, they got out to an early lead. Bills took the lead at the end of the game, and Mac Jones led a game-winning touchdown with the worst gritty of all time, which previously was a distinction held by one Mike Gesicki, who caught this touchdown and kind of passed the torch onto his quarterback, which I love. Like, that's great. That's just fucking funny. And it is kind of nice to see in a way where it's like, yeah, you know, Mac Jones has been getting shat on all year, and rightfully so. He's made some terrible throws. Again, like that interception where he's trying to throw to Hunter Henry, who's wide open, and Henry is here, and the ball's, like, over here. I mean, you make an argument, like, or maybe there was a miscommunication. He thought Henry was going to go, like, deeper down the field or something, but even then, you're like, bro, your dude is over there. Why are you throwing over here? What the fuck was that? But he was able to lead a game-winning drive against the division rival, and he looked good throughout the game. I gotta give him his flowers for that. Bill Belichick, say what you will about him this season, say what you will about the Patriots this season. 3-0-0. Win number 300 in the regular season. That's badass. That is some elite fucking company. Now, is this the game that's going to turn the Patriots season around? Maybe. I don't remember who they play last week, but I think I marked it down as a loss. What is it? Is it like the Chiefs or something? Now I'm actually curious. Let me check real quick. Who the fuck do the Patriots play? Oh, they're playing Miami in Miami, which is a place where weird shit happens that usually ends with the Patriots losing. Yeah, I know the Dolphins lost to the Eagles, but I still have Miami winning that game. But I'm going to say that I think New England looks good in the loss. And no, there's no moral points in the NFL. Your record is what you are, what your record says you are. And what New England's record says they are is well below 500. Not good. But the eye test, with the clear exception of the Saints and the Cowboys games, they've been in these games. What their record says they are is, with the exception of a couple outliers with wins and absolute blowouts, you're a team that will play hard, but not quite get it done. Which is not great. It's one of those things like, if you're rebuilding, that's not the worst thing, because it's giving you that experience. It's giving you, those growing pains and shit. If the Patriots are trying to rebuild, I think it works. If they see themselves as actually good, maybe not. Maybe they do try to tank for Caleb Williams, or maybe they go for Marvin Harrison Jr. If Mac Jones is another weapon. I don't know exactly what they're trying to do, but I mean, for all I know, the Bears will end up with the top 2 picks and go Caleb, Marvin Jr., boop, which, I mean, sure, dog, that might work. You're still the Bears. I don't know how well it'll work, but hey, it could. After that, we've got Arizona and Seattle. Seattle won 20-10. I don't really have anything to say about this game, even for watching it. No, the Bobo catch, the touchdown in the corner of the end zone, that was a great fucking catch. So that and Josh Dobbs running for a 25-yard touchdown, which he's done quite a few times. It's I feel like Josh Dobbs, I'm not trying to make a NASA joke, but I feel like he is starting to come back down to earth. The first few weeks, it was he's actually playing pretty well, and not so much anymore. But it seems like Kyler is practicing. He might be able to come back. And even then, I'm are the Cardinals just dude, it's fine. Shut it down. We want you healthy for next season. Or maybe we just really want to tank so we can get someone new. I don't know really what they're wanting. The team does have a lot of heart, have a lot of soul. They got fire in their gut. But they're just not very good yet. Seattle is not perfect, especially when they're inside the red zone. Shout out to my Saints. But, I mean, I never really doubted that they were going to lose this game. So, that's really all I have to say. Then we get to Pittsburgh and the Rams, which was a 24-17 win by Pittsburgh. And this is a game I went back and forth on. I was I could see it both ways. If I'm playing the Steelers defense in fantasy, they're going to win, which I didn't. But the Steelers defense still played really well. JJ Watt had an interception. They didn't return for a touchdown, but it was first and goal afterwards, and then Pittsburgh scored. So he set up a touchdown. Kenny Pickett was definitely short at the end there, but they gave him the first down, which iced the game. And it doesn't make me quite as sick as what happened in the Browns and the Colts, but I'm still that fucking sucks for the Rams, man. I mean, fuck the Rams. But that sucks, because they should have had a chance there to tie the game, and maybe they wouldn't have, especially with the way they've been playing in the second half. But they could have. But the things that really stick out to me in this game, number one, Pickett in the fourth quarter. Because it's not the first time that's happened where he's been kind of throughout the game. And then fourth quarter, it's the spirit of Tim Tebow goes into this dude and he's just unstoppable. It's kind of wild. It's again, when I talk about Pittsburgh Steeler football and the weird genjutsu, this is the kind of shit I talk about, especially that fucking Ravens game. That is the pinnacle of Steeler football. Just hanging around, weird shit happens, and then, as Urinating Tree would say, who's self-identifies as a Yinzer, bailed out by high-end talent. Here I come to save the day. I fucking love watching tree videos. I'm excited to watch a sports ball video this week. Or not even this week. It's Wednesday. It'll be out later today. I'm excited. It's kind of wild, though. It's like, yeah, fourth quarter Pickett is nothing to sneeze at. I think he was like 7 for 7, like 140 yards or some shit in the fourth quarter this week. Good shit. The other thing that sticks out to me is the Rams lost by 7. Brett Maher missed a field goal. So that would be 3 points. 3 points. So now you're down 4. He missed an extra point, so now you're down 3, and then he missed another field goal. If he had made all of his kicks, would have been a tie game. And who knows what would have happened at that point. Who knows, maybe at that point, they would have said, you know what, Kenny Pickett, you are short, Rams, here you go. Who knows? But it's like, yeah, that's why the Rams lost. It's because the offense couldn't really do shit in the second half. It's because Kenny Pickett in the fourth quarter is an absolute monster. It's because TJ Watt made a huge fucking play. It's because their kicker, who they released, put 7 points, took 7 off the table, which was the margin of victory. After that, is this the one? No, it's not the one yet. This is the Chargers and the Chiefs, which was 31-17. This was an interesting game because it was the first half was fireworks. It's like, this is what I expect from a Chargers-Chiefs game. Boom, 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 boom. It's not a Cardinals game, but you're getting the pew, pew, pew. These are teams with fire in their gut. And the Chargers never had a lead in this game, which doesn't actually surprise me that much, but I feel like I should say it. But then you get into the second half, because it was 24-17 at halftime, and then Chargers didn't score in the second half. Chiefs only scored once. Mahomes had a crazy game. Kelsey had a crazy game. I played both of them in fantasy, and that was not great. It was like the guy I was playing had 2, maybe 3 people on bye. And there was a point where I'm like, I'm losing. Which, granted, a lot of my players play on the Eagles. So I'm like, I have a lot of players who haven't played yet. But also, he's got 60 points. Or I think it was damn near 70 because of Mahomes and Kelsey. That's terrifying. Holy shit, they went off. The Chiefs' defense is really good. I think this might be the best unit Mahomes has had in his career. And that's scary. That's really scary for the rest of the league. It's even if the Chiefs' offense isn't clicking, and that sometimes happens, their defense can keep them in it until they get their shit together. And that's exactly what happened in the Super Bowl. And yeah, that's fucking scary. With the Chargers, I really don't have anything to say about them that I didn't say earlier when I was talking about the Bears and the fact that we're going to play again. They're 2-4. That's who they are. This sounds really mean, but they're losers. They're the Chargers. There's a reason, you joke about that. They're gonna Charger. They're chargering. I'll joke about the Ravens and I'll joke about the Cowboys. But I actively expect those teams to win games, to make the playoffs, probably win a playoff game, and then fizzle out. I don't even really expect that from the Chargers. I just expect them to lose in ways that are either hilarious or embarrassing. I know I was saying a few weeks ago, it's a Lions-Chargers Super Bowl would be the funniest fucking thing. And granted, this week they were fucking embarrassed. I could still see the Lions pulling that off. I don't really see that with the Chargers. Justin Herbert's really good. And on the one hand, I'm It's not all his fault that they lose. Football is a team sport. You need a good defense. Like, if you score 40 points and the other team scores 41, you scored 40 points on the offense. Like, that's not on you. Again, I'm a Saints fan. I know what that shit is like. I watched a game where Drew Brees threw 6 touchdowns against the 49ers defense a couple years ago, and they lost because the Saints defense forgot how to play football. Which in Drew Brees' career was not an uncommon occurrence. Yes, I'm angry about that. But, there's also that part of me that goes, you have a huge fucking contract for a guy that, while good, hasn't won anything. It's not undeserved, but it's also not quite earned. You know, let me say it like this. Like, I've been critical of Joe Burrow. Not just this season, but like even in the playoffs. Like, he has this, like I say this all the time, Burrow has this reputation for being super good in the playoffs, super clutch in the playoffs. I think the Bengals, which feels so weird to say after Marvin Lewis and Andy Dalton, but the Bengals are a very good playoff team, but I feel like there have been very few games that I've watched and thought, they're winning this game or they're in this game because of Joe Burrow. Or it's like, man, they've got Burrow on the other side. They're about to win. And like, they're about to take the lead. I definitely don't think he's trash or anything. Again, like, first few weeks of the season, that was something different. It's like, Burrow's very good. And him getting a huge contract is like, well, this is our guy. And he's, with him as our quarterback, we've done really well. It's like, Burrow's at least won a lot of shit. I'm critical of him, but it's something like, this makes sense to me. Maybe not to that degree, but it makes sense to me. With Herbert, I'm like, this feels premature. And so far this season, it really has been. I hope he does well. I lived in San Diego. I mean, like a suburb of San Diego, but like, I lived in San Diego for 3 years. I want to see the Chargers do well. And then I was living close to LA for a few years, so I want the Chargers to do well. I just don't expect it. Now I get to talk about the funny game. The Packers lost to the Broncos. That's all I have to say. That's fucking funny. They lost 19-7. There was a point where they missed a field goal. Where, what do you know? In a game you lost by 2, you missed a field goal. That might be the difference in the game. The Broncos it's one of those games like they were dominant early, but it didn't show on the scoreboard because they could only score field goals. Or it's like, well, you're up. Like, it was either 6-3 or 9-3, because I don't remember if the Packers had gotten a field goal at that point. I was like, you're clearly outplaying them, but you can't put it together. Boy, this might become a problem later. So the Packers made it a problem because they were up 17-16 by scoring 2 of the funniest touchdowns, because one of them was a simultaneous catch. Of course, the rule is simultaneous possession. The tie goes to the offensive player, which I look at that and go like, you mean to tell me there was a game with simultaneous possession where the Packers played Russell Wilson? Why is that familiar? It's like, it was not like a Hail Mary situation. Wilson didn't even throw the ball. Again, it was a Packers touchdown, not like a pick six kind of way. But like, that's a really odd little coincidence, because that's not a play you see super often. That's just kind of cool. The second touchdown is Love throws the ball. It gets tipped by his receiver. And this is on 4th down, by the way. It's like 4th and 1 or 4th and 2. Tips off the receiver's hands. And there's another receiver right there who catches it. And Kevin Harlan is calling it. He's like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but it's Kevin. He's like, wow, what the fuck was that? That was F-bombs. Again, huge fan of Tree's sports ball videos, so I always look for, I'm calling both games. Like, I love Kevin Orland. But just, what the fuck was that touchdown? It's like, how did you have two weird, like, glitchy touchdowns in the same game? This is gold. So now I have to trust the Broncos to go down the field and take the lead, which they do, which I didn't even think was possible in this season. And now the Packers have to kick a field goal to win, and they're in like a 3rd and 20, and Love throws the ball deep, and it gets intercepted, and the game is over. And if you look at the play, he had A.J. Dillon wide open with a ton of fucking space. And I said, like, it was intercepted and the game was over. It's not like there was, like, 14 seconds left. You can dump it off to your running back. And with that much space, maybe a few blockers, does he get the 20 yards? Probably not. But he can probably get most of them. And then you're at, like, let's say a 4th and 4 at about the other team's 40 in Denver, where, like, you can maybe make that kick. That's still a long kick. That's like about a 60-yarder or so. But you are in Denver. Maybe you can do that, or at the very least, like, you're in a 4th and, like, very, very manageable. It might have worked. And instead, no, went deep, threw it into double coverage, touchdown. Or, excuse me, interception. Definitely not a touchdown. I'm like, this is weird. What the fuck was this game? This was the funny game. The Broncos won! I'm shocked they can do that. The only time they've won so far was the Bears. I'm like, no, that makes... I mean, I wanted that game to be like a 4-4 tie. It wasn't. I'm mad about that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? Are the Broncos only going to beat the NFC North? Are they going to beat the Lions too? Like, what the fuck? That was great. 2 games left. I'm sorry, I feel like this video's gone on really long. I had to rant about the Saints for a good while. Miami and Philly. Philly won 31-17. Which, from following Scoregami, it's like, yeah, that was a score that hadn't happened in like 20 years or some shit. It was quite a long time. And then it happened twice in the same week with the 2 last year's Super Bowl teams both winning 31-17. That was kind of weird. One of the things that really stuck out to me about this game was 4th and 1 on the Eagles, like their own 20-yard line or like their 30-yard line. Like, okay, we're just going to brotherly shove. No hesitation. And what's interesting to me is, like, if Brandon Staley did that, everyone would eat him alive and be like, Staley being Staley, Chargers chargering, why do you do this to yourself? And then when the Eagles do it, you're like, no, that makes sense because this play is fucking unstoppable. It's so automatic, and I don't have a problem with it. You have the personnel to do it, and it works. Fucking do it, man. Do your shit. If you can run it, you can run it efficiently, and your guys aren't getting injured doing it. Fuck. Why not? That's awesome. It was something that kind of stuck out to me. There is that play where the Dolphins go for it on 4th down, which I feel like they did a couple times. They go for it on 4th down, well within field goal range. Don't get it. Incomplete. Turnover on downs. I don't remember who the receiver and the defender were, but receiver and defender are running down the field. Like, receiver stops. The defender, like, reaches out and, like, gets a tiny bit of the face mask, and he, like, pulls it just enough for the receiver to, like, fall, which I will say, it, to me, especially when I first saw it, I thought he flopped. It kind of looked like a tight, like, little tug, and then the dude, like, falls to draw the contact. Which, granted, though, I mean, if you got a guy, like, pulling on your head and pulling it, you're gonna fall. Like, that makes sense. But I'm like, was it enough contact to draw that? But also, I mean, it's still enough contact to interfere with him. It's like, it should at least be a face mask. Like, that should be an automatic first down. But nothing was called. And there's that part of me that goes like, Dolphins, maybe they wouldn't have had a touchdown. But I don't like that. I don't like that at all. But literally the very next play, Hurts throws a pick six. I'm like, well, ball don't lie. Like, I can't even really say anything anymore. It's like I was saying, like, with the Colts-Browns one, I'm like, this makes me fucking sick. That could have. But the fact that the defense immediately responded, I'm like, no. That kind of makes up for it. I at least for me, I'm like, no, that makes sense. It's almost like the karma has been, like, rebalanced and shit. Tyreek Hill did drop a touchdown, which, I mean, they lost by 2 scores, but that could have helped. And I know after the game, like, he had 1 touchdown, like 88 yards, a good fucking game. And then afterwards, he's like, I got to play better. I'm sorry to my team, to my fans. I'm like, I love that. I love seeing a dude who has a good game and saying, I could have been better. I should have been better. I will be better. It's like, I love seeing accountability. I love seeing accountability and humility. And I feel like when it comes from someone who did well, it almost means a little bit more. Maybe not necessarily. Because, I mean, you still like to see, even if someone, like, like, played, like, absolute dog shit, like, hey, I need to be better. And then when you see them actually do so, that's really satisfying. But it's also satisfying for someone who played well to not be like, hey, man, it wasn't on me. Blah, 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 blah. Be like, no. Like, we are a team. We win as a team. We lose as a team. And I could have done more as a leader on the team. Like, you just love to see it. I thought it was a pretty fun game. I don't really think... Oh, no, the only other thing I have to say is that A.J. Brown is a grown fucking man. Just the plays he makes, where he's just, like, out-muscling dudes for extra yards and shit. I'm like, this is why you're on my fantasy team. This is why I started you this week. Dude is just a fucking boss, which kind of making me realize, boy, when the Eagles go on bye, I'm going to not have a whole lot of players. I mean, I still have a good amount of receivers. I also have Lamar, who I really should have started this. I mean, I still won. Was like, I probably should have started him over Hurts. I might have to start doing that, but, like, we'll see what happens. Like, man, I really hope the Ravens and Eagles aren't on bye in the same week, because that's going to be pretty bad for me. And the last game was the 49ers and the Vikings, a game where I'm like, the Vikings are going to lose. They're going against the Niner defense, which, A, not a good situation, B, without Justin Jefferson. And it's not like the Vikings defense is that good. And, like, yeah, the 49ers are a bit banged up. But, I mean, McCaffrey played, like, the whole game. He wasn't on limited snaps or anything. Kittle was heating up a bit. And it's like, yeah, they don't have Debo. But, like, Ayuk is still really fucking good. Surely the 49ers have got this. And the 49ers sat my ass down and said, don't call me Shirley. And lost. Actually, I take that back. It was Jordan Addison who sat me down and said, don't call me Shirley, call me him. Because he had a fucking game, dude. Jordan Addison was badass. Like, there was a part where, like, he got out-muscled for a turnover early in the game, and then later in the game, I don't know if it was the same defender, but out-muscled. It was like the ball was clearly intercepted, and then he said, no, give me that, and then scored a touchdown. Like, that was fucking cool. McCaffrey had a touchdown, which means 16 straight games, so he broke the record. That's cool. Purdy threw 2 picks, and neither of them looked particularly good. I mean, it's an interception. It's never going to look good for the quarterback, but I'm like, well, that one, Chief. Oh, then he did it again. And that was with the game on the line. Like, you're marching down the field, you're down 5, because it was like Minnesota missed a kick, but then so did the 49ers, so again, I'm like, well, the karma kind of balances there. I think the 49ers missed one first, and then Minnesota did, so balance. I think the 49ers also had like a deep, like a 55, 56-yarder that they made. That was really good. At one point, the Vikings went for a kick on like their own, or not their own. If they went for a kick on their own like 20-yard line and made it, that would have been insane. But it was like a 1st and goal on like the 5 or some shit, and they had to kick a field goal by the end of it. You're like, that could come back to haunt them. Well, it didn't, so good on them. That's 2 games in a row where Purdy hasn't looked that great. And it's like, okay, you're playing Cleveland in the rain and the grime of Cleveland. Shit happens, and some of your players are going down, and give you that. But what the... Because this Vikings defense isn't the same Vikings defense that I've known for the past few years. They were not good last year. They haven't looked that good these first few weeks. Also, the Vikings didn't fumble in this game. And what do you know? A game where they didn't fumble, they won. But I was like, this 49ers offense should be like eating them and spitting them out. I know Debo isn't there, but you got like everyone else. And this offense is a well-oiled machine. Like, even without a cog or two, they can still move. What the fuck was this? Now, I'm not going to say, like, oh yeah, I'm completely off the 49ers bandwagon. Like, no, they're trash. They're bad. But I'm not going to say it's quite like Buffalo, where I'm like, they look vulnerable. But they definitely don't look invincible. I feel like the Browns game was kind of a... Maybe there's like chinks in the armor, but it's also a weird game in Cleveland. Like, they lost that game not just in, but to Soldier Field in week 1 last year. I'm like, that doesn't really tell me anything about the 49ers, except that it's hard to fucking win in a monsoon. Like, no shit. This game, though, feels like no, you're beatable. And if a team isn't scared of you, you're not gonna win. It's like, you might still win, but you have to work for it now. And they play the Bengals next week, who are undefeated against the NFC because they've only beaten NFC teams. And I'm like, do I think the Niners lose 3 in a row? It's like, what's more likely? The 49ers lose 3 in a row, or like the Bengals losing to an NFC team? It should be that, but I'm like, this is a powerful trend. There's a part of me that goes, what if the Bengals literally only win against the NFC and lose against the entire AFC? Because that would be insane. There's another part of me that goes, maybe this is when everything changes. The Bengals lose, so the NFC streak is broken, but it somehow allows their AFC streak to be broken too, and then they just run the table against the AFC. And not just because it's a weird thing that could happen, but there was this one Saints season where it was like one of those 7-9 seasons, and it was early on, they were undefeated at home, but couldn't win on the road. And it was like, oh, so they're going to go 8-8 this year. Then they won a road game and won all the rest of their road games, but lost all the rest of their home games. But they had more home games to play, so they went 7-9. And I was like, why? Like, why did you reverse your ability right at that point? Fuck, damn it. And they're like, the Bengals might do that. And if they did, it'll work a lot better for them than it did for the Saints. But, yeah, that was a long fucking video, but that's week 7 in review. It was fucking weird. It was fucking fun. I'll see you in a bit where I talk about week 8.